Well, we acquired Kenner in 1992. We acquired Kenner. And one of my friends in R&D said, we acquired Kenner and we thought we bought a poodle. Instead, we got a pit bull. Okay? And what I mean by that is, Kenner, the marketing team at Kenner, which was in Cincinnati, versus the marketing team at Hasbro, which was in Pawtucket, was the new fair-haired boy of senior management. They could do no wrong. They had Batman, which was on its ascendancy, and we were constantly being compared to Batman. Oh, we had, in fact, I remember Alan Hassenfeld asking me to bring out a G.I. Joe figure and to bring out a Batman figure. Why does G.I. Joe look so puny compared to Batman? Those were his exact words. Why does G.I. Joe look so puny compared to Batman? Well, Alan, that's what G.I. Joe's looked like since 1982. Well, Batman's looks more muscular. Well, he is. He's 4.5 inches tall, Alan. That's why he looks more muscular. You know, in other words, we were constantly under pressure to create G.I. Joe, or turn G.I. Joe into something it wasn't. And the other thing we found out is, how many of you bought G.I. Joe Extreme?
Sorry.
Okay. While we were developing G.I. Joe in Pawtucket, Kenner was developing G.I. Joe Extreme in Cincinnati. And it was a typical bad example of office politics. We knew nothing about G.I. Joe Extreme until they killed Savage and introduced Extreme. And Extreme was worse than Savage because it had no articulation, okay, compared to what we had, huh? Yeah. Yeah. So, it's corporate politics. Yeah. Well, it was corporate politics.
So there was also in the Toy Wars book.
Yeah, it's in the Toy Wars book. Yeah, it's in the Toy Wars book.
Going on what you said about how we assembled the vehicles ourselves and saving money, I think it was also beneficial to us, or to me anyway, because it gave me more of an appreciation for what I had because I actually built it, as opposed to just taking it out of the package and there it is. I actually had a hand in it, which made it more.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. It was also, that's also a good point that it also helped moms get over the fact that they were buying a, quote, war toy for their boy. That they had a toy that they had to read instructions and learn how to put together themselves. So we were actually building snap together model kits. We stole the idea of snap together toys from snap together model kits, which is what Revell and Monogram were doing at the time. We just took that technology and put it into toys, made the toys beefier so that they could stand abuse versus a model kit, which once you snapped it together, if you played with it, it would, you know, fall apart. So we just made sturdier, snap-together model kits.
Well, first, I just want to thank you for coming out. And second, so Ron had a concept, had some concept art for a president figure.
Yes.
And the president likeness was based on Reagan.
Yes.
Now, do you know if Hasbro ever reached out to Reagan and asked him if he would be interested in getting a G.I. Joe?
No.
No?
No. I mean, that would have been a fun project to work on, you know, because Reagan was president at the time. So it would have been a fun project to do. But we never really, it never really got beyond a discussion stage. And it was like, is a kid going to buy Ronald Reagan or is he going to buy, you know, Dusty, you know, or is he going to buy a Snow Viper, you know? That's what it came down to. I mean, it would have been could have been a great promotion, but it never got to that point either. But it was just, you know, you got to weigh, you know, you can only do so many figures, and who does he replace? So yeah, he's still got the artwork, I think, or it's in Dan's book.
Right.
But it would have been a hoot had we done it. But
I thought so too. I saw the concept work, and yeah, I thought it looked like a real good figure.
yeah, it would have been a hoot. But no, it never got beyond the talking stage.
Okay, I had a question. Now, when you talked about, I believe, I don't know if it was yours or Ron's, where they showed that, sports characters and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm a Chicago guy. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
So, how did you go about choosing, like, the Refrigerator Perry versus, say, somebody that played for, Houston or Dallas or California or something?
Because you got to, historically, you got to look back at the times, right? You're
Right.
probably a little too young to remember.
No, I remember 85.
Okay. All right.
I look young, but I'm 40, so.
Okay. Well, Fridge Perry was like a phenomenon.
Right.
Okay? And he had just killed us in the Super Bowl. All right? But he was still a phenomenon. Here's this huge, lineman who they turned into a running back. Right? And he
Right.
got down inside the 5-yard line. And it was just kind of like, and he had a really wild personality. It was like, beyond.
The whole team did.
Yeah. But Fridge was like, he was cool. So it was just, taking advantage of a very topical sports figure at the time. And we brought him into Rhode Island. And, I remember having lunch with him and his wife. And she was the brains. Okay? He was willing, we were giving him toys, and he would have signed our deal just for the toys we were giving him. And she said, wait a minute, how much is he going to make on this deal? So, yeah, he was a hoot.
So that's just, like I said, for me, obviously being from, Chicago and all
yeah,
that,
sure.
it made that character stand out more because it's like, another example is I'm actually in Indiana, just over the border. So,
Yep.
like, when I see, what's his name now? The one that has the file card from Gary, Indiana. That's a town that was next to where I grew
Yeah,
up.
sure.
So that was my figure.
Yeah.
So, and I think that played into it too. When you see, like, America's huge.
Yeah.
So when you can generalize where you have figures from your
That
area,
becomes your favorite
that's your
figure.
guy.
And I got to credit Larry Hama for doing that.
Right.
Because as Larry Hama wrote the file cards, that's what he tried to do. He tried to geographically disperse these characters around the country. And he picked small cities that kids could identify with.
Right. It definitely had an impact.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, two things. Was there ever a subset or a team or a concept that your team was really high on and excited about that the Hasbro executives wouldn't let you go forward with?
Well, that's a good question, and I honestly can't think of one. There were characters they wouldn't let us go forward with that they fought us tooth and nail on, individual characters. But no, they never fought us on sub-teams or things. Like, for instance, I remember the first time and I think it was in '83, Ron, who you all heard earlier, as we were here, has an affinity for the U.S. Marines. So he wanted to do a dress Marine, okay, in dress blues. So he does Gung Ho, which came out in '83. Yeah, Gung Ho came in '82. He does Gung Ho, no, '83. Gung Ho comes out in '83 as a Marine in his battle gear, right? So in '84, I guess it was, Ron wanted to propose Gung Ho, with his big mustache in dress blues. And the head of marketing at the time, who pretty much stayed the head of marketing for many years, Steve Schwartz, he said to Ron, let me see that. Let me take a closer look at that rendering. Beautiful color, acrylic rendering painted of this dress Marine. He takes it and he tears it in half. Now, you don't do that to an artist. Ron was devastated. But that was this guy's trying to be funny. And he said, don't ever show that character again. We're not going to do characters in dress uniforms. And it took many years before Ron was able to get that dress Marine in Gung Ho into the product line. So that's an example of a character that, and it was Steve trying to be funny, and it just wasn't funny. It shocked all of us. It's like the first day I showed up at work in a tie, okay? And Steve called me into his office and said, let me take a look at that tie. And he took his scissors, and he was going to cut my tie in half. And he said, don't ever, it's $20 at that time silk tie that my wife got me for Christmas, He said, don't ever wear a tie to the office again. We don't dress like that here. It was my first day in the job. I figured, you got to show up in a tie, right? And I later learned jeans or khakis. That's what all you had to wear to go to Hasbro.
And can you talk about the G.I. Joe train that was in development but never got released a little bit?
Yeah. That really never got rejected. It just never. Greg Bernstein was the lead G.I. Joe vehicle designer, and Greg was as a hobby. Greg liked to build model tanks, and he liked to play with model trains. And he just thought, and at the time, we had a sister company, Play School, and which was a preschool company. Play School had tremendous success with a battery-operated preschool train. So Greg said, why don't we take that train, and all we could keep the same cars, we just have to tool a new engine, okay? And he painted it all up in OD. He built a casting to go over the Play School train, which was like a old-style steam locomotive. He made it look like a more modern electric locomotive. He created this great-looking train set, and we presented it, and it just, it kind of fell flat because it was at the price point that it would have been. It probably would have been well over $100. It just kind of got knocked out of the box by the Cobra Terradrome. It was like, do you do the Cobra play set or you do the train play set? And you couldn't do both. So it never really got killed. It just kind of got put on the shelf for like another year, another time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
With the sports characters like OJ, I know, sorry, it was the first character. And my
Yeah.
question was OJ ever considered before you?
No.
No.
Not that I recall. Not that I. We did the sports figure in Fridge, and then kind of started thinking about we wanted to do more relatable military type characters to the line, and we never really found anyone that matched it. But
Slaughter.
yeah, and right, and then Slaughter made sense, right? So time for maybe one more because I'm looking at my watch. It's almost 4 o'clock.
What about the Rocky, the Balboa figure?
Yeah.
That was in line with that.
Yeah, well, that was a case of Sly Stallone was great, and it was a case of his agent trying to double dip. He signed an agreement with us. It was right after the success of, well, not right after the success of Rocky, but obviously Rocky had the first movie was great. The second movie might have been, I don't know, the second or third movie. We approached them about incorporating Sly into the Rocky into the G.I. Joe character line, and we did the deal. And Ron has sketches of what Rocky, the trainer, would have looked, the boxing trainer would have looked like. Until we found out that Stallone's agent signed a competing toy company, Coleco, with doing the Rambo line of figures. And so we said, wait a minute, we're not going to be selling one version of Sly Stallone, and then there's another version of him as Rambo. So we just canceled the whole deal. And we quickly converted the face over to a big Boa's, face mask. So that's the deal behind that. Okay.
Because he was in the Order of Battle. Rocky
Yeah.
Stallone.
Yeah. Then it gotten that far along. So that we couldn't take him out. Or if we couldn't, we forgot that he was in there. Sometimes that happened too. Anything else? Okay, great. I appreciate you all coming. Hopefully you have a better idea of what, my role was in creating G.I. Joe, and let's go have a good time, whatever's time's remaining at the show.